Today, as I present the draft National Ordinance on Higher Education, we stand on the brink of a transformative moment for St. Martin. This is not just a legal framework, it is the foundation for the future of the island's educational landscape. The draft National Ordinance on Higher Education that is before us represents an opportunity to empower our citizens, strengthen our workforce, and drive the progress of St. Martin. During today's presentation, I will walk you through the history of higher education in St. Martin, the basic principles of the draft ordinance on higher education, the outcome of consultations with the relevant stakeholders, and an overview of the legal provisions within the draft National Ordinance. On May 24, 2017, the Council of Ministers approved the Start Notitie related to the National Ordinance for Higher Education. In an effort to shape the higher education policy, the ministry engaged in discussions with various stakeholders. These discussions highlighted that there are multiple solutions that could be suitable for St. Martin. The complexity of higher education means there's no single right way to address it. However, all stakeholders identify several core challenges for higher education related to St. Martin's social, economic, and educational systems. The small scale of St. Martin was noted as the biggest challenge. Other challenges include the complexity of the subject in relation to global trends, the quality of education, and the global economic situation. Despite these challenges, all stakeholders share a common goal: to strengthen higher education and create more opportunities for the people of St. Martin to achieve higher education without leaving the island. Based on this, the Council of Ministers made the following policy decisions of higher education. Number one, to align the economic growth agenda and labor market needs directly within the educational agenda for higher education. Acknowledge the realities of our ambitions considering the island scale, the limited availability of the tertiary education at USM, and the financial constraints with the aim to grow steadily. Attract more foreign students to ensure financial sustainability and higher education programs. Invest in covering the core cost of higher education based on the maximum percentage to keep tuition fees relatively low and avoid shifting the financial burden to the study finance system. Organize quality assurance through specialized agencies should have the opportunity to pursue further education. St. Martin faces challenges due to its small scale, limited resources, and the complexity of its education system. The coexistence of several international education systems makes progression and connection to further education difficult. The limited higher education options on the island hinder students who wish to continue their studies locally after secondary and secondary vocational education. More coherence is needed in the education system to ensure smooth progression, which higher education regulations can provide. The government intends for these legislations to support the effective delivery of higher education to align with current economic and social developments, and that it is flexible enough to adapt to future changes. Additionally, the legislation aims to coordinate the administrative relations between the country and educational institutions by establishing rules on their legal status and governance structure. The draft ordinance includes statutory regulations for how higher education must be organized by institutions setting minimum requirements for quality and education, quality of the education they provide. It also outlines the legal position, tasks, responsibilities, and funding of higher education organizations in St. Martin, regulating access to quality of higher education and legal status for students. Finally, the government must ensure the quality of diplomas issued so students can effectively enter the labor market. Students and employers need to trust the value of diplomas, which should have civil effect. Accreditation of programs ensures institutions maintain sufficient quality levels and meet predetermined requirements, giving diplomas real value on the local, regional, and international labor markets for education. Currently, higher education in St. Martin operates based on agreements, contracts, or memoranda of understanding with individuals, institutions, and programs. This results in insufficient control over higher education policy and its coherence with other education policies. There is no synergy, and a lack of legislation means that access to higher education, its quality, and efficient funding are not guaranteed. With this draft ordinance, the government aims to strengthen the education system, improve access by creating more opportunities for students, and counter brain drain. Every student, regardless of financial means, to maximize international quality standards, saving manpower, and allowing the investment in building local capacity. These policy decisions help to strengthen our higher education system and provide more opportunities for the people of St. Martin. The government recognizes that the small scale and complexity of our current education system pose various challenges. Higher education in St. Martin has not yet reached its full potential, and setting overly ambitious goals can be counterproductive. Therefore, government has prioritized the creation of regulations for higher education. Based on the social and economic context and international and regional trends, the government has determined by key guiding principles, including flexibility and minimum quality standards for national and international recognition of higher education. With these principles in mind, government is committed to make higher education accessible, high quality, and efficient. The draft ordinance is based on the following basic principles. 1, strengthening links with the labor market needs. St. Martin is currently not fully utilizing its labor potential. There is a direct correlation between the level of education and success in the labor market. To address this, the government can establish rules to improve access to higher education by enhancing the transition from secondary to tertiary education and fostering cooperation between these levels. We can reduce dropout rates and ensure more of our population attains higher education to align with the labor market's demands. Understanding the medium-term needs of the labor market is crucial for determining the training programs offered. These programs must address the economic and social needs of St. Martin. Institutions seeking funding must align their training offerings with these labor markets' needs. Ultimately, retaining talent within St. Martin requires the students graduate with relevant skills and qualifications to meet the local demands.
Asset V insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? Asset V is cardless. Request your My Asset V account today and enter the virtual office of Asset V. Go to assetv.sx and sign up now.
Asset V, yeah. Your social health insurances.
Minister, I believe, if my memory serves me correct, you just mentioned something to the effect that wrecks around the island will be picked up. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I know on the dump there is a very, very large section that contains crushed vehicles. Of course, this is very dangerous in a hurricane season. They can become missiles. So the wrecks that will be picked up in the control that you will be having, where will those go? And is there any sort of plan to address those wrecks that's there? And if you can also at the same time give me an indication as to a status update on that whole landfill project and the relocation of the residents and so forth. I would appreciate that.
With regards to the car wrecks, indeed, the location, just as you exit Phillipsburg towards Surrey Garden, that is where a private company on behalf of government takes all wrecked cars and crushes them, and then they are exported, usually via barge, to another country. Very recently, the company has received a barge, and you will notice a large chunk of that crushed metal has been moving out. Of course, we do have to think very long-term about what we're going to do because it's not very sustainable currently. When the picking up of the car wrecks, we've had this discussion because it is a multiple ministries involved. When it comes to car wrecks, it's immediately the matter of the Ministry of Rummy. Where do you store them? We've had discussions preliminary yesterday about possible sites, which I won't disclose now because they may cause some concern. But regarding where we can possibly put picked up wrecks, but also to, more importantly, in collaboration with the Ministry of Justice, how we can support them in collecting abandoned vehicles. Car wrecks can, of course, directly go towards that wreck site, but abandoned vehicles, by law, they have to remain there or they can be picked up by the police and stored. There are challenges regarding the storage, and we're trying to see how we can support the relevant ministries as well, because, of course, island cleanliness and cars being abandoned in waste is not just a Rummy problem. It does impact everything else. So it is very much something that we're having a discussion with regarding where we can put the new cars. And we'll elaborate on that further on, ideally by next week. Press briefing, I'll have a response for you. And then the landfill project, this has been one of the sort of monumental projects of the trust fund. There was the first emergency sort of removal of what is called the red zone, where persons have been moved from the immediate dump site for safety reasons. And what is being discussed now is basically that the landfill has is near reaching its sort of lifetime. There is an ongoing project from the trust fund to review exactly how long that is, because of course anecdotally we can say, oh, the dump is full, but evidence needs to be placed as to really how long is that. Have we passed that yesterday? Are we getting there next week? There is a growing concern, of course, because with the breaking down of the material and equipment from Rummy, as well as a lot of the waste. I was on the landfill actually on Monday, taking a tour of some of the issues that are there, including the equipment that's down. For every 3 days of garbage, we kind of go through at least, I would say, about maybe half of, maybe about a football length of the dump is used for in 3 days. So we have a situation here where the length of the dump is most probably much closer than we actually think it will be. And that's why, for example, we need to look at something more sustainable from a government point of view in terms of recycling, in terms of circular economy. I think it goes back to the fact, of course, of just 2 weeks ago, I signed into law, so to speak, the Waste Authority, which basically is going to look at how we manage our waste going forward more sustainably. One of the key things toward this, and it's not very popular, but we may actually have to reach the point where we start looking at how we charge for the use and disposal of garbage. Because as we know, every sort of incidence of tax is a deterrent. It's also about how we use the landfill more efficiently. Currently, there's a management system of basically we bring in trash and we cover it with dirt. And then we keep piling and piling and piling. Structurally, as many people know, the dump also has some issues around its integrity. It's actually reaching to the point where parts of it are a threat to fall in and collapse upon itself. So it's really a comprehensive approach to not only necessarily getting rid of the dump, but also to, at the local ground person level, at the you and me level, how do we address waste from a point of view of paying for it, as well as how we can use waste more sustainably as well. I'm actually planning to have a meeting with the NRPB regarding the landfill, because there, as much as we still want to maintain and organize what is there is still incoming amounts of waste, as well as illegal dumping of waste material, which shouldn't be at a dump. And also, too, goes back to the fact of there are many people who are dumping illegal construction material alongside the public roads. So again, it goes back to government has a role to guide where we go policy-wise, but that policy can only be supported if we look at our practices individually. So I call on everybody because, you know, I live in Mary's Fancy, and just the other day I was down the hill, and the big bin says, no dumping of household appliances, and right in the big bin was a washing machine. So now government has to take this washing machine and put it on the dump via the haulers, and then when that causes a problem, everyone turns to government, forgetting that it wasn't government who put the washing machine in the bin, it was the individual. So it really has to be a sort of concerted effort to look at how we contribute to the problem that we also have on the dump, but government's responsibility to see now how we can manage and move forward more sustainably.
That the enhanced security protocols are still in place on the roads. In other words, that the police have the ability to do enhanced checks on vehicles. How long are you planning to continue that, and what kind of results are you seeing as a result of those enhanced enforcements on the road?
Being here or off island, I am fully informed as to any ongoing operation in St. Martin. Also, I had a conversation with the Chief of Police yesterday. These enhancements is not only based on regular policing, but also in conjunction with the finance department when it comes to checking number plates and if you have paid your fair share of road tax. Also looking at what's going on in St. Martin, we can clearly see that our crime rate since the operations have been lowered. You can clearly see that those that were doing what they were not supposed to be doing has also been apprehended. The police force is doing their due diligence. The work that is forthcoming is beautiful. And like I said, under the leadership of this minister, because I came from the organization, I understand it, I can relate with the chief and all the other different department heads within justice. Things are going quite fine. So I must say, St. Martin, congratulations. As long as it deems fit, we're going to do it. There's no time frame. As for example, crime can come about at any time. The youngsters have to understand that St. Martin is a very small island. It's very dynamic. And as minister, you're not going to mess with the bread and butter of this country. It is very important that they understand that the vigilance of the police is there. You can see them. I'm not in a police chat, but I can hear everyone, oh, police is here, police is there. It makes me feel good because at the end of the day, people need to understand that the police or the justice workers on a whole is there for the safety and the security of our country. So whether or not people may feel harassed about it, we are taking guns off of the street. It is important that we take these illegal weapons off of the street. They are being tested to see if they were involved in any crime. And of course, DNA leads to conviction. It is one of our greatest methods in modern day society in order for us to curb crime and put the assailants where they're supposed to be.
Are you SXM insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXM is cardless. Request your My SXM account today and enter the virtual office of SXM. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXM, yeah, your social health insurances.
Was also a day of celebration and Caribbean culture.
It certainly was. An estimated 1 million people lined Eastern Parkway in Crown Heights for a parade complete with music, dancing, and food.
Here's Eyewitness News reporter Michelle Charlesworth.
Music, intense pride, and bright, colorful costumes flooded Eastern Parkway with 1 million people celebrating Caribbean culture.
The brighter you are, the more luck you get, the more fortune and stuff like that. So that's why we wear the feathers and everything like that as part of our heritage.
In Guyana, we have 6 different races. Today, I'm representing 2 of those races.
This parade reaches back to 1947 in Harlem when the first parade like this happened, shining a light on the Caribbean and New York City.
This day is a celebration of who we are as New Yorkers.
It is also who we are. Eyewitness News reporter Phil Tate walked as Grand Marshal holding the Bajan flag of Barbados. His family's from there.
We had a whole lot of fun at the Juve celebrations. Had to change my shirt. Got a little oil and paint on me, but it's nothing better than being with my people.
Mayor Adams marched, so did other dignitaries, including Senator Schumer.
People come here, many of them don't have much money, they work hard, often in government, they're the bus drivers and the nurses, and then their kids go on and do great things.
It's a wonderful part of the American journey. We're a gorgeous mosaic of people from across the world.
History was a big part of this.
Sense of community and festivities and great music and great food and fun, and the weather's great.
In Crown Heights, Michelle Charlesworth, Channel 7, Eyewitness News.